Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Did you wake up today feeling great, invigorized, just joyful, excited to start your day? Or did you wake up and just say, oh, here we go. It's Friday. Oh, thank you. I needed you so bad. You should feel like every day is a new day and a new opportunity, and it should feel good. If it's not, you're just not aligned. Something's not right there. And many times we don't even know why, but it connects to our past stuff that we endured that is controlling us now. We don't even know it's controlling us through our subconscious. Best way to take care of that. And I would have to say, this is just my opinion, but 95% of us are dealing with it, is through hypnotherapy. She is an amazing hypnotherapist. She's also a life coach, can move you forward. And we're going to dig deeper into how this all works and will it work for everybody? She's Estrella. She's back with us. Welcome. How you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. And I've always wondered, can everybody be hypnotized?
So the research says different things. There is research that shows that only 25% of the population can be quote unquote hypnotized. But what they're talking about in that research is the ability to do like stage type hypnotism, where you can, perform and be in front of people. So what did I say? I said 25% can or can't.
You said can't.
Can't. Yeah, 25% can't. So the rest, 85% or can't, 75% can. But everyone, 100% can benefit from hypnotherapy because everyone has the ability to relax and go into a meditative state. Maybe some people are not going to go as deep as others, but that doesn't really matter as long as the subconscious mind is primed as much as it can be primed for you.
And let's get this out of the way, just real quick here. The stage hypnotism, we've seen it on TV, make somebody bark like a dog. It's only if they want to be hypnotized. You can't just walk through a crowd and just like, make people,
Correct.
turn into robots and all of that.
Right.
Yeah. And that's, it is a form of hypnotism, but the difference here is that's a hypnotist. You're a hypnotherapist, i.e., therapy comes in there. You're helping people move their lives forward, not just putting them under a spell that some people believe. Yeah.
And I love stage hypnotism to watch. It's so fun. And I've been on shows, like I've been a contestant or a participant a couple of times, and I really enjoyed it. But it does hurt the hypnotherapy industry a little bit because people think, oh, hypnotism is for show. It makes you do funny things, blah, blah, blah. But they don't realize, like, no, this is a really powerful tool. Like, this is something that can really impact and change your life. It's
when I watch those stage things, I don't believe them. I don't believe them. No, I don't. And I would say I give it more credit knowing having been hypnotized myself for therapy. So I guess I could see it, but I just can't, imagine somebody doing that. But I guess, what it is when you do hypnotherapy, at least in my view of it, I was in full control the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
There was never a moment where I'm not going to bark like a dog, even if you tell me to. I'm not going to do it. I mean, it's not going to happen. But I was able to go back to my childhood, see visions of things, learn from that, kind of connect the dots, put that all together. Very emotional. So I feel that, yeah, I was definitely connecting there. But the dog thing, I don't know. Just
you don't need it.
Don't call me up on stage. Not going to work. Not going to work.
Not for you.
Not for me. Yeah.
And you kind of have to have a almost like a performance type personality, right? Like I'm a type of person who loves to get on stage no matter what I get to do. So if I can go and be hypnotized, like, heck yeah, that sounds fun to me. So I love participating, right? Like I'm going to do it because I think it's fun and I'm relaxed. But even they tell you when you do stage hypnotism, you will never do something under hypnotism that doesn't align with your values. Your subconscious will reject it. It won't let you do it. So if they say get up on a stage and, act a certain way and it doesn't align with who you are,
Right.
you just wouldn't do it. You
Yeah.
know?
And we've said that in the beginning, and it bears repeating like we are now, because I think some people are afraid of it. You're not giving up your social security number, your credit card numbers, personal information, unless you want to. And that's your choice. I don't want to bark like a dog. Don't call me on stage. That's probably not going to work. So
No.
before we got started here, you said that there are some demonstrations, exercises that you can do to further illustrate hypnotherapy. Can we look at some of those?
Yeah, for sure. So I love to, in a first session with a client, explain to them what hypnotherapy is, and then also kind of help prime them to show them that they are susceptible. And so we do a fun little activity called finger magnets. You want to try it out with me today?
Sure.
Okay. So
as long as I don't have to bark like a dog.
You won't bark like a dog. I
Okay.
promise.
All right.
Okay. So what we're going to do is just a little test, and it's to prime your body and mind and to kind of show you like it's a magic trick that is also, going into the subconscious. So you as my willing participant, are you my willing participant?
I am.
Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you put your hands up and just kind of give them a wiggle and a shake. Okay, good. That's just for me, for you to look silly.
Okay.
All right.
And it worked.
And it worked. Okay, so for real now, go ahead and put your hands up and clasp them together. So your fingers are intertwined and they're clasped together. And then you're just going to kind of give them a little massage as you do that. And then just watch me at first, and then I'll have you do it. So you're going to pop up your 2 index fingers, and you're going to focus right in between them. You just kind of like close one eye and look through them with one eye and focus on the space right between your fingers. And as you do that, I'm going to have you just follow along with your imagination, just doing whatever I tell you to do. And you're going to notice something amazing. Okay, you ready?
So I'm going to do this.
Okay, yeah. On the count of 3, ready? 1, 2, 3. Pop those fingers up. Focus right in the center of those fingers. And as you do, I want you to imagine there's tiny magnets on the tip of those fingers. And as those fingers are up, they are going to start pulling closer and closer and closer together. It's almost as if you couldn't pull them apart, even if you wanted to, but you're okay with just letting them grow closer and closer together as that magnetic pull just pulls and pulls. And as you imagine those fingers coming closer and closer with those magnets pulling, 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 and they're just going to keep pulling tighter and tighter and closer together. And even if you wanted to pull them apart, you simply couldn't. How does that feel?
Wow.
They just don't want to separate, right?
It's so weird.
Yeah, you can go ahead and give them a drop and a shake.
It's like they're like glue.
It's like you can't stop it. So I showed that trick to teach people a couple of things. First is, it is a little bit of a magic trick because your fingers automatically want to come back together. But when you prime the body by first massaging the hands and then pulling the fingers up and then using the power of the mind with the magnets, it becomes almost impossible to pull those fingers apart because you're using the power of the mind. So what I do, and the reason I show this trick to everybody is, what I do is I prime the body first by relaxing you from head to toe. And then I get into the mind and start, with the therapeutic part of the session where we clear out and help with whatever that person's, habit changes, past life things, whatever they are working on. Then we go into that. So I always love to show the finger magnets to people because it just kind of shows you, like, I know the words to say, the order to put them in, to get you where you need to be.
And it seems like this is in line with when I hypnotize myself using audio from somebody I did a session with before you. This is last year. And I think I shared this, that I listened to it to fall asleep. That wasn't even the goal of the session. And it was just audio that she sent me. It's 18 minutes long. I listened for 6 minutes, and the initial part is me just looking up to my eyebrows and, into my eyelids. And I'm just looking and I'm looking. And that lasts like maybe 40 seconds. And then your eyes start fluttering. And then I close them, after some deep breaths, and then try to open them. And I think it's the same thing as this. It's almost like they're locked tight. They're glued shut. Can't open them.
Yeah, it's like they're glued shut, right?
Yeah.
But if you really, really wanted to, you could open them.
Yeah. And the same thing, in the sessions that I've been in where to the point of you can make me bark like a dog. You can't. I don't think you can. However, in all the sessions I've been in, if I wanted to stop them in a moment, second, I'm done. I'm not doing it. I could, but I didn't want to. But it would
That's the thing. You don't want to. You want to go along with it because it feels so great.
Yeah. And plus you're learning about yourself. You're figuring out why you do what you do, and all, based on your past and all of that. Have you encountered people that you couldn't hypnotize?
I've encountered people who think that they didn't, like on their first session, they'll think that they didn't go like into a deep trance, or they don't know the feeling of hypnotism. So for them, and everybody feels a little bit different. So I've had people kind of be like, oh, I don't really know if I've been hypnotized or not. And to them, I'm like, well, did you feel, so there's a few questions I ask. Did it feel like time kind of stood still or took really long? Like you have like no conception of like time passing. It either passed really fast or really slow, or that's one indicator of being in a trance state. And then I'm like, were you able to follow along with your imagination? Yep. Then you did it. If you followed along with your imagination, then you did it. Some people expect to come out of hypnotherapy feeling like this huge, like I'm a new person, right? All of a sudden, everything's different. And I tell them, like, if I could do that, I'd be a billionaire. Right. But what I tell them then is like, just pay attention to the weeks and months to come, because that's when you start noticing the changes that have occurred because of the hypnotherapy.
How long does it take?
Usually a session takes about an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay.
But they're only under hypnosis for 20 to 30 minutes of that. So I do a lot of.
I never thought of that. I never thought of that. It's the session. It takes time to get into it. It takes time to recap. So it's really only, 20, 30 minutes that you're in. Wow. That didn't even occur to me.
Yeah. Yeah, because I have to get to know somebody beforehand. So usually what I do is go through a set of what I call hypnotic questions that kind of get their subconscious mind primed and rolling for whatever goal it is that we're trying to accomplish. And I am very goal oriented in my work. So if you come to me saying, all this stuff from my past is causing me all these problems. Okay, that's great. Where do you want to be now? What do you want it to look like now? Let's set goals of where you want to be. And then that's what we're going to work towards. And then I ask questions like, how would you feel if you didn't reach your goal? How would you feel if you did? How is it going to change your life? And asking these types of questions before I even hypnotize them kind of puts them into the subconscious. Is already, the wheels are going, they're thinking about it, they're imagining their life with this new goal. And then we go into the hypnosis, clear out whatever we need to clear out, put in whatever we need to put in. And then that's that.
So somebody has a session or two, and I guess it really depends on the person and their goal. How long does it take before they start feeling results?
I've had anywhere between, I've seen a client, I saw him 3 times and he quit biting his nails, and he'd been biting his nails since a child. So I've had a person quit smoking in 1 session. I've had, I have some people that I work with regularly because they want to like advance their careers. So I have people that I see, I have a couple of people that I see like weekly or bi-weekly, just because they're working so hard and advancing themselves that they just want to keep progressing through it. Because when you start elevating your life, you hit these kind of ceilings every once in a while where you realize you're like, oh, I can't get to the next level because I have all this subconscious gunk to get out of the way, right? Like I have a client who I just got her, well, I didn't get her a job. She got herself a job. I just gave her the tools. But she is now working for a multi-million-dollar real estate brokerage company and is nervous because she has to sell houses to millionaires. And she's like, I came from poverty. I don't know how to hobnob with millionaires. And I'm like, all you have to do is be yourself, first of all. That's what's important. And then just helping her, like we went through and helped her clear out some of her worthiness issues from her childhood. We've done, reaching different goals, and she's one of my success stories. It's just amazing how well she's done.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're wonderful.
Thank you.
Your personal connection, your vibe, your empathy, and all of that. And I feel like I know this person. I don't know this person. I feel like I'm watching her journey. And I met a guy. I joined a men's group, and he's like half my age. And I don't know what it is, but I pick up this vibe on him. I'm like, dude, and he's kind of in a downturn right now. And he was here, he's down here in terms of career and personal life. It's like, you have no idea how genuine you are. Like, and I bet that's her. The same people, that there's just, you see it in them, like you can nail it. You don't see what you have. And you
Right.
probably saw that in her. Just be yourself, be authentic. People, doesn't matter where you came from, they're just going to pick up on the fact that you're being real, and you're excited. Here she is selling these, multi-million-dollar homes, whatever it might be. She's excited like they are in a different way. But it's nice and to get those blocks out of the way. And I'm sure it's not just she came from here and she's selling to people up here. There's deep-seated stuff in there. I've got friends walk around all the time. I can't make any money. It's just not happening for me. I don't know what it is. I'm never going to make enough money. I need to buy a car. I guarantee it's from their past. It's
Mhm.
from, how many of our parents always said, money doesn't grow on trees. And some
Right.
kids just rolls off their shoulder. Other kids is like makes an impression in your subconscious. And then I think her ex used to say a lot of money stuff. So now she's programmed to not succeed. But you get past that with hypnotherapy, right?
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, getting rid of money blocks is so fun
Right?
because people have so many limiting beliefs when it comes to money. We believe we have to work super hard to earn, good money, but that's not really necessarily true, right? It's more work smarter, not harder. We believe that we have to come from money to have money, or that we have to invest a ton of money to make a lot of money. It's like, no, it's all about, when it comes to money, it's all about like finding your passion, living your values. And I can help somebody in a job where they're unhappy to be content. I mean, unless they're being mistreated, because sometimes we just have to realize like we're aligning with our values. And when we're doing that, the universe is going to bring in to you everything that you want, because you're following your guiding light, you
Hmm.
know?
And even on the money thing, it's not a product of, oh, you'll have hypnotherapy and the money will just come to
And you can be
you.
rich.
Woo! It's people who have those challenges with abundance are self-sabotaging themselves and don't know it. For example, you have somebody that has those limiting beliefs. I'm never going to make enough. It's never going to happen. They go into the job interview. They kind of screw it up because they don't have that confidence because they feel they're not worthy and they don't get the job. So they think it's not going to, here we go, another job blown. I know I shouldn't have said that and that. But if you have the hypnotherapy and when we say limiting beliefs, oh my God, doesn't those two words
Yeah.
it's getting better. You have the belief that's limiting you. What's the belief? That you can't make money. Why do you have that belief? Because of stuff that happened in your past. And to get rid of that, it's hypnotherapy, without a doubt.
Yep, for sure.
It works. Stuff really
It's
works. It's just a
cool.
shame. We always say it's the last thing that people try,
I know.
right?
It is. And I wish they would call, some of them I wish they would call sooner.
right?
I had one client, she was in a whole, I went, I think it was a month without seeing her, and she came and she's like, oh my gosh, I had the worst month. Everything was rough, and I didn't want to come see you because I just wasn't in the right mental space. And I was like, what are you talking about? That is when you're supposed to see me. I was like, next time you call me when you're not in that right mental space, because you don't have to be in the right headspace to get hypnotherapy. It's like it can help you get to the right headspace.
Sure.
You
I
don't
can
have
tell
to
you,
be like all at peace and everything,
you brought back a memory for me. Prior to hypnotherapy and getting past some of these beliefs, and I own a business as well. I do radio, I've been doing it forever, and on and on and on. I'm even going to go back like 5, 6, 7 years ago when things turned down in terms of business. I would be like, oh my God, freaking out. Like, oh, how am I going to make that up? Oh, how am I going to pay my bills? Everything was fine. But this was going into, DEFCON 4. Like, oh my gosh, what. Now something happens. I'm like, and everything, this is life. Now a little downturn in business. It's like, all right, yeah, it'll all come around. We're gonna be good. We're gonna be good
Yeah,
because I got rid of those blocks because of hypnotherapy.
right.
Yeah.
And it's terrible because it doesn't, and I want to talk about abundance. It doesn't matter what the dollar amount in your bank account is, right? You're abundant if you have a lot of people who love you in your life. You're abundant if you have food in the fridge. You're abundant if you have you're, even when I was in my depths of poverty, living in a 2-bedroom condo with my kids, with bars on the windows, it was crazy, but I got out of it. And even then is when I started really learning, because I was in school at the time, and I had to journal every day my gratitudes. And I found it difficult because I was like, oh, my life is so hard, blah, blah, blah. And as I started doing it more and really putting my mind into the abundant mindset, I started feeling rich, even in my little condo that was so run down. I was like, I have a home. Who cares that it has bars on the window? It's a safe place for me and my kids. So even if the the purse straps are tight, it doesn't mean that you have to live a life of lack.
Thank you for saying that.
You can still feel abundant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's so important. And two things I want to share. I didn't write in my gratitude journal this morning because I was up at 3:30 to take my son to school because he was with me last night and he had a school trip. So it was just like, half asleep waking up, regular time. So it's almost like I'm like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." I wish I wrote it because I've gotten into that habit. And second of all, what you're saying is so on point. It's a difference between what you need and what you want. Yeah. Would I want to win the lottery in a millions? Would you want to? Sure. Do you need to? No, be honest. No, you don't. And
Right.
if you have all of the things that you mentioned, but you always have one thing, you, you have
Yep.
you, but you got to know that you have you. And many times we don't feel like we have us because of the stuff that's in the way.
Mhm.
And more importantly, the faith in you. And I think you'll
Yeah.
agree, one of the number one things that we all walk around with all day long to the end of days for some of us is we feel we're not good enough. We feel we're
Mhm.
not good enough. Most therapists say that, that's the big thing, that the cloud that's over us. And that's the umbrella of the holding us back. Then underneath that, I'm not good enough to make money. I'm not good enough for a great relationship. I'm not good enough. Da, da, da. Hypnotherapy gets rid of all of that and refocuses how you view things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then instead of having this mindset of I'm not enough, you get put into your subconscious, I'm enough, I'm enough, I'm enough. I had one session with a guy, I loved his visualization that he had. Um, he was able to imagine, because I kind of had him imagine absorbing all this positive light, right? And he's like, it was so cool. I felt like Iron Man. He's like, I just felt this big spot in my chest, like where his little medallion is or whatever. And he's like, I just felt all this light and all this just go into that spot in my chest. And then we had a follow-up session a few weeks later, and I'm like, how you doing? And he's like, we did this I'm enough session. And he's like, I just had this feeling in my chest. And he's like, every time I feel that that creeping in of I'm not enough. He's like, I just turn back to that feeling I got in my chest during that hypnotherapy session, and it just fills me up. And I'm like, that is so great. Like that it is such a powerful tool, and it's all with the power of your imagination.
Sure is. Just think of it when we're out of time. I just want to keep going, man.
Oh.
I love it. I love it. I love talking with you. Just remind yourself, and just whether you have to put post-it notes, I am enough. I mean, a friend that I used to work with made my screensaver on my phone. Probably not going to be able to see it, and it's probably reversed.
Oh, it says enough.
It says conquer. And that's, the one thing. And it resonated with me. And I don't even know I'm looking at it, but how many times you look at your phone and I should make it, I should make it. I am enough, that too. How do we find you, Crystal? How do we connect with you?
I am on, you can go to my website, which is Crystal Estrella. I'll say it with the L's. No, not Crystals. It's Estrella Healing Arts. .com. So ESTRELLA, and then healingarts.com.
Fantastic talking with you, and just a breath of fresh air of really how you connect with people that you work with. You care. You really do. It shows. So yeah, everybody make that change with Crystal. Thank you so much for being here today. Really appreciate it. Yep. We're coming right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
and there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.